Alright, here we are on the Israeli side of the Dead Sea, our first opportunity to get wet after being in the desert for a couple of days. And theoretically, this is the lowest place on the face of the planet, so we should be under the greatest atmospheric pressure right here. It's something like 1,300 or so feet below sea level. And so there's a lot of pressure here. And it's a lot like our law enforcement officers and their families who are under a lot of pressure. You know, it doesn't matter what study that you read, law enforcement officers always rate at the top or near the top as the most stressful profession imaginable. And it's interesting to me because if you were to go out into your community and ask your citizens, what is it about your job that makes it so incredibly stressful, you get answers like this. Well, it must be those crazy hours that they work. That's got to disrupt their sleep patterns. That adds to their stress. It's that roller coaster of emotions. They go from those points of intense excitement followed by periods of extreme boredom. You've got all this trauma that you experience and all the tragedy that you see. You see the underbelly of society. You see people at their worst. You see all these terrible things. All that's got to add to your pressure load and the stress load that each of you and your families have to endure on a daily basis. That's what your citizens think. And it's not that that doesn't add to your stress burden every day, but when you ask police officers that same question, what is it that you think makes your life so incredibly stressful, you get a slightly different answer. You want to know what the most prevalent answer to that question is amongst law enforcement officers? Internal relationships. That's number one. It's like all the other stuff is stressing me out enough, but what's really stressing me out is all these crazy people I got to work with every day. That's what's driving me crazy. So we want to think about how do we improve these internal relationships. That's the power of character. That's the power of police dynamics. If we could build and strengthen and stabilize these internal relationships within the organization itself, not only would you and your agency be so much more incredibly successful in accomplishing the police mission, we would have the added benefit of driving your stress level down. Because if you're stressed out at your job, don't you think that's going to have an impact at home? And if you're stressed out at home, don't you think you're going to carry that with you when you go 10-8 on your next shift? Absolutely, there's a correlation there. Character, the principles of police dynamics, build these relationships, strengthen these relationships, stabilize these relationships, and in return, drive down the stress levels of our law enforcement officers. What do you think?
That's the way to relieve stress.
If they don't get in your eye.
Don't get in your eye.